I am going to review the FIFA World Cup 2026, which has ended just 3 days ago. First of all, when the World Cup began, there were things that were said that this World Cup was not going to be so great. And that America, specifically America hosting the World Cup, there were a lot of people who were against it, and there were reasons. They were saying America can't host the World Cup for 2 reasons. First, that America do not have the proper football infrastructure, or what they call soccer, because America have its own football, the NFL, so they do not have the stadiums. And second, they do not have the fans. There are people who are not interested in football, so there was no reason to hold the biggest football competition in America. Then, after the first week of the World Cup, those things changed completely. The first, they didn't build stadiums, but they had repurposed their own NFL stadiums, and they were bigger, greater. They were amazing. They were simply amazing stadiums. Yeah, the American stadiums, they were already established stadiums, but they repurposed it for the football. They didn't have to build new stadiums, and they were so amazing, great. That was immediately debunked. The second one was that the fans, they like the fans, they don't know about football. That might be true to some extent, but when it came to supporting their team, the Americans were one of the best supporters, fans in the World Cup. I even learned the song they were singing. For the first time, I didn't know about the song. Country Roads Take Me Home. That one. Then after that, everybody shut up. Nobody was able to say that the Americans don't have the proper fans for football, and they said the stadiums will be empty. The stadiums were not empty. Anyway, did I believe those claims before the World Cup? Yes. Was I wrong? No, maybe not. That was the popular belief, or I was just convinced. I'm not sorry. Then to the actual competition, the group stage, the first stage, it went normal. Most of the expected group teams came out, except few like South Korea. The biggest upset was Turkey. Turkey, they were supposed to be number 1. They were supposed to top this group. The first 2 games they were supposed to win, and then the final they were going to play against USA, and who wins will be number 1. But before they faced the US, they already lost against the 2 that they were supposed to win against easily. That was one of the biggest surprise in the group stages. Then the group stage, everybody else proceeded, and then we came to the knockout stage, and that's where the actual competition began, of knockout. One game you lose, you're out. Netherlands, Morocco, that was big. They shouldn't have faced each other, but Morocco win. That's not a surprise. But this one was the biggest surprise. Germany was eliminated. Who? Nobody would have believed it. Germany was eliminated by Paraguay. That was the biggest upset. The next game they were supposed to face each other with France. Imagine if France and Germany faced it. That would have been a great game. But we've lost Germany to Paraguay. And then Belgium, Senegal, okay, USA. Another big upset. No, there's no upset. Brazil nearly lost to Japan. They nearly lost it to it, but last minute came back, and everybody else score was as expected. Then we came to the round of 16. Canada, Morocco expected. France was expected to win there. USA, they were defeated at home, but it would have been better for the US to continue for a while to the quarterfinals. That would have been fun, just for the fans, and they were actually they were lighting the competition. After the USA and Portugal exited, everything dropped from there. These two games, they dropped the popularity of the World Cup. USA, because they had the home fans. If the US won, continued, it would have been epic. Portugal, because of Ronaldo. The world loves Ronaldo, so a lot of people, and majority of the people who were supporting Portugal are not Portuguese by nationality. Most of the fans, even if you look at the fans at the stadiums, most of them weren't Portuguese, those who were supporting Portugal. So immediately when Portugal lost to the eventual champions, the competition had lost its popularity in the international stage. Then the biggest surprise, Brazil was beaten by Norway. It was amazing. Norway wasn't even defending. They weren't like barking the bus. They were actually playing better than Brazil. England won at the Mexico Stadium. And Switzerland, Colombia, surprisingly, Colombia was eliminated. Colombia was supposed to meet Argentina, but somehow they got eliminated on penalties. Argentina, Egypt, the most controversial. Egypt was denied second goal, and after that, everybody believed that it was rigged for Argentina, because before that they might have got away with penalties and stuff, but after the Egypt game, it was corruption. It was corruption, clear. It was terrible refereeing. It was terrible. Then the quarterfinal came. Well, going back to Spain, Portugal, this time Cristiano was eliminated, and he actually said we played well. Cristiano said we played well the game. Keep in mind that, because we might have to believe him later on, because that means after the quarterfinal, like when they played Belgium, and then how they played France, and how they dominated France, and how they eventually dominated Argentina, they didn't dominate Portugal like that. It was open game. Portugal was attacking. They had chances. They had the position. Also, Spain had the position, had the chances. So at the end of the World Cup, we might believe that Cristiano was telling the truth, or saying that Portugal actually played better against Spain, which dominated France and Argentina. They didn't dominate that way in Portugal's game. Next, we came to the quarterfinal. Now the team is only became 8. So the France-Morocco, France won comfortably. They had to suffer a bit. Spain won against Belgium, and they conceded the first and only goal that they conceded. The first goal that hit Spain's net in the entire competition, before and after, was this one goal. Every other game, nobody else scored against Spain. Norway, England, man, Norway was the story of the World Cup. Norway were, after Portugal were gone, everybody, and then Norway won, everybody was cheering for Norway, and they were playing better. They weren't just defending, they were actually attacking, and they had Haaland who electrified America. America was eliminated, they were supporting Norway because Haaland he became the breakthrough star, and his social media also engagement was amazing. So this was also a heartbreak, because at first I was like, okay, let England progress because they can beat Argentina. But how the way England played Argentina, Norway was better. Norway would not have parked the bus, would have played better than England against Argentina. Argentina had again another easy game, and then some controversies because the Swiss player was sent off. Then the semi-final. France-Spain was the biggest shock because I myself expected, even most people expected, that France was gonna win and they were gonna trash Spain like 4-5 goals, something like that. Because the attacking talent they had, the attacking power they had, everybody expected that France would do something illegal to Spain, and sometimes, but I was shocked, everybody was shocked by the game. France was dominated. Before the game, Lamine Yamal, the star of Spain, said that I think he was asked about people, Spain should be afraid of something, Spain is afraid of France. He actually said France should fear Spain. At the time, nobody believed what he was saying, and nobody took it as a threat, but it was a threat. France was he told the truth. France should have feared Spain and prepared just to park the bus or something. But they played open game, and Spain was dominant on the ball the entire time. Even when it was 2-0, France wasn't threatening Spain. England-Argentina was the biggest upset. And England had 1 goal, and then they started to park the bus at 60 minutes. And terrible. They just entered the box and they let Argentina play. And when you enter the box and the opposing team just have the chance to shoot, to cross, to try again, and so many crosses and so many shoots, one of them will enter. So the first one shot became the goal for the draw, and then immediately, sometime later, the winning goal came from a cross. They were still in the box. One of the worst giveaway of a game. If they played normally, I believe they would have won more goals, because if Argentina attacked, they could have counter-attacked and scored more goals, but they made Argentina look promising. They gave them false confidence, because up until now, Argentina wasn't facing a bigger team. The first big national team they faced was England, and England gave away 1 goal, so Argentina had now the confidence to go to the final against Spain. And again, Spain dominated. They were the only team that was playing in the final. This actually made Argentina look terrible. They came to the World Cup final and they couldn't even play the ball. They could only interrupt the ball. They could foul them every time. They could play dirt, and still they couldn't do anything with their dirt tactics. And even if the referee had disallowed the first goal, still Spain was unstoppable. They had 0 shots on target. 0 shots on target. Entire national team who came to the final couldn't shoot the ball to the goalkeeper. The biggest memes that were going on social media was how the goalkeeper of Spain was unemployed in that game. It was he wasn't he was just watching like us, like everybody. He was just watching the game. At one point, he came out and caught the ball and he dived it, which was funny. It was funny. So that is how it went, and then this game also happened. The playoff for the third, France and England played an opening game. They had fun, and Kylian Mbappe became the dictator, became the top scorer of this current World Cup and the all-time top scorer of the entire history of World Cup. And that is how it ended. So what will be the thing that this World Cup will be remembered for? First, it was fun and it was amazing, and it was in America. Also, America now Americans were introduced to the sports, and it was really great. It was a great experience. The other maybe negative thing I can say about it was the game is starting late, like 3 p.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m. in most of the world, except like the West and the East. Most of the world, Europe, Asia, and Africa are the center, and we had to watch or just sleep. You have to choose one. Also, this World Cup had an closing halftime show. The final had a halftime show. What can we remember from the final halftime show? We can remember about Shakira. Shakira, the performance. Shakira is one goated artist that the most of the world of the English, at least the English speaking world, we don't hear about Shakira most of the time, except every 4 years once. Do you know that? Every 4 years once we hear about Shakira, and that is when the World Cup is going on. At every World Cup, we hear about Shakira making a song since 2010, I think. That's as much as I know about. Maybe 2006 she also had a song, I don't know about it. But 2010, Waka Waka, 14, 18, 2022, I think she did also 2026, all of this. So every 4 years we have a Shakira song. So maybe the next World Cup, I hope, 2030, 2034, Shakira also will be making bangers for the World Cup. Because she sings in Spanish, we don't know about her songs. I don't even know other Shakira music except her World Cup songs. So Shakira is that artist that we hear about every 4 years once, and she's got it. That is all the memories, the things that I can recall from this World Cup. Oh, I forgot Scotland. Scotland was positive. One of the biggest, the Tartan Army.
I don't even having tickets to the game today where Scotland is taking on Morocco at Boston Stadium in Foxborough. They say they were hoping to get some last-minute ones, but they're just enjoying being in the same city where it's actually happening. Another group I spoke to was able to score tickets, but they say they've heard the city of Boston might be running low on beer. Either way, both groups are just happy to see their national team make it to the World Cup, something that the team hasn't managed to do since 1998.
If FIFA were to rig for anybody, I hope that it would be Scotland. They should have let Scotland play in easy group and progress. They should have done that, really. If they should have just let Scotland play in an easy group. Look at the group they had to play. Scotland, Morocco and Brazil. If Scotland was in here or any other group, they could have progressed. But one of the top teams, Morocco and Brazil, they face it. I feel sorry for that. The World Cup would have been more fun if Scotland was in until like the quarterfinal or something. If Scotland and the US and Portugal were in there, it would have continued to become being epic, more epic. Anyway, that is how it ended. That's my recap for the 2026 World Cup. Have a great day. Until next time.